To derive uncovered interest condition. So we're assuming two economies. US and UK. And we're going to consider a 1-year investment from the US investor's perspective. So we want to look at all of this from the US investor's perspective. Now here's two options. The US 1-year bonds or UK 1-year bonds. Because we're assuming two economies. So he can either invest in 1-year US bonds or 1-year UK bonds. Let's look at some notation. So now let IT be the 1-year US nominal interest rate. I star T be the 1-year UK nominal interest rate. So we're using stars for like the UK nominal interest rate and just IT for the US nominal interest rate. And ET represents the current nominal exchange rate between dollar and pound given as pounds per dollar. So it's given to us as pounds per dollar because we know the book defines the nominal exchange rate as price for 1 unit of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency or the number of units of foreign currency per unit of domestic currency. Here, because we're looking at from the perspective of a US investor, so we're going to treat US as like a home country. So this is EET. Now EET plus 1. Now we can notice this expectation here. So this is the expected nominal exchange rate between dollar and pound. Because at T, you don't know what the exchange rate at T plus 1 will be. At the idea is that at year T is our current period. Now, so at year T, we don't know what exchange rate will be next year in T plus 1. So we have an expectation for it. We don't know what exchange rate will be in year T plus 1, like because we're looking at year T plus 1. So best we can do is use expected exchange rate for that. This is expected nominal exchange rate that you expect. This is the exchange rate you expect to prevail at time T plus 1. So best we can do is use expected exchange rate. Right, so this is the notation. Now let's actually do this. Now that you have the notation out of the way, so what you want to do is let's label this as year T, this as year T plus 1. And so let's start with the first option is that you can invest in US bonds. This will be a domestic investment from US investors' perspective, right? Domestic investment because we're looking at from the perspective of a US investor, right? And you can invest in UK bonds, which we know from a US investor's perspective would be a foreign investment. So now if you invest $1 in year T in US bonds, in year T plus 1, you will get 1 plus IT. Now where does this come from? So you'll get the $1 plus you'll get the interest on the $1, right? So you get the $1, which is this, right? So if you invested $1, you get that, plus the interest you earned, plus the interest earned on that $1 you invested in US bond. right? So this is the interest, right? So the overall it becomes 1 plus IT, right? So you invest when you invest $1 in a US bond, you get that dollar back and you get the interest you earned on that dollar. So it's 1 plus IT times 1, which is just 1 plus IT. What about UK bonds? Now, so in UK bonds, if we invest a dollar, now the idea is this. Now, here we need to understand that to invest in UK bond, first we need to convert dollars to pounds using the current exchange rate. Obviously, if you want to invest in UK bond, you need to first convert the dollars you have into pounds using the current exchange rate ET, which gives which gives us the number of pounds per dollar, like we said, right? Number of pounds per dollar. The way we defined ET was that it is the number, it is pounds per dollar, right? So it's giving us the number pounds per dollar because in this case, like UK is like the foreign country and US is like the home country from the perspective of a US investor. So every dollar, where do we write this? Okay, let's just let me erase this. Basically, what we're seeing is if I take this here, so basically, so every dollar is worth 80 pounds, right? That's the idea. So what we've learned over here is that if you want to invest in UK bonds, you need to first convert your dollars into pounds. And we'll do this based on the current exchange rate that we defined as ET, which is the number of pounds per dollar. So every dollar is worth 80 pounds. Let's just clear this up to have more space. So we were looking at year, okay, let me define it here. Year T plus 1, and we're just looking at UK bonds now, right? $1. Or let me just write quickly US bonds as well. You can just quickly write it. So we showed in the case of US bonds, $1 is 1 plus $IT, and this was domestic investment. And then we wanted to look at UK bonds, which was foreign investment from the perspective of a US investor. And here $1 we saw was equal to how many pounds? We just saw 80 pounds. So now let's go forward. Right now in year T plus 1, now the idea is this, that we know each pound, now the idea is this, each pound invested in UK bonds yields a return of 1 plus I star T. This is similar to that, right? If you invest £1 in a UK bond, you'll get the pound back. Thus, you'll get the interest on that pound, which is I star T next year, right? So in year T plus 1, this is the return you get from £1 invested in a UK bond. So if you're investing 80 pounds in UK bonds, yield a return of, so if £1 gives you a return of 1 plus I star T, so 80 pounds will give you a return of 80 times 1 plus I star T. So at the end of the year, since you've invested 80 pounds, so you will get 80 times 1 plus I star T. So then moving forward, now let's see what happens now moving forward. Now, um, now, so in the end, you have to convert back to home currency. Okay, I need more space for this. So let me just write this here now. This is related to this box. Now converting back to home currency. In the end, you have to convert it back to home currency, dollar in this case, right? Because we're looking at everything from the perspective of a US investor. And you will do this based on the expected exchange rate. Based on the expected exchange rate at T plus 1, EET plus 1. Now, we know EET plus 1 is given in terms of dollars per pound. So it's the number of it's number pounds per dollar. This I wrote opposite. So it's given in terms of pounds per dollar. So it's number of pounds per dollar. Let me just delete this so that we have more space here. So it's number of pounds per dollar, right? So if I take the reciprocal of this, so it's going to be dollars per pound. So it's going to be number of dollars per pound, right? This is because, right, the way we defined exchange rate is pounds per dollar. So if you take the reciprocal of this, it would be dollars per pound. Dollars per pound, right? So every pound will be worth how many dollars? So every pound is worth 1 by ET plus $1, right? That's what we're saying. We're saying the way the exchange rate is defined is number of pounds per dollar. The way the reciprocal of the exchange rate is defined is it's number of dollars per pound. So इसका मतलब 1 pound is worth 1 by ET plus $1. Thus, EEET 1 plus I star T pounds will be worth how many dollars? ET 1 plus I star T times 1 by EE T plus 1, right? So we're here in this box. When you want to convert it back into the home currency based on the expected exchange rate, so we're going to get how many dollars? 1 by EET plus 1 into ET 1 plus I star T. Right? So this is what you're gonna get, right? Because see, the whole idea is this: we had a dollar, you invested in the UK bond, you needed to convert it into pounds. You did it based on the current exchange rate. You got 80 pounds, and then these 80 pounds yielded 80 times 1 plus I star 80 pounds at the end of the next day once you invested them in UK bonds. And then in the end, you have to convert them back into home currency dollar based on the expected exchange rate, because at time t, you don't know what the exchange rate at time t plus 1 will be. And based on that, we know that expected exchange rate was told us the number of pounds per dollar, told us that $1 was worth ET plus 1 pound. So if you take the reciprocal of it, we'll get number of dollars per pound, right? So the way we define ET plus 1, it gives us the number of pounds per dollar. So 1 by ET plus 1 would give us the number of dollars per pound. So it will tell us that every pound is worth 1 by ET plus $1.